Hey, what's going on, guys? BrownwoodzTCG back at it again with another Yellow-Green Law matchup. So, jumping right into the game right here, we have none other than Law versus Kid, Yellow Kid. So, I'm sure you guys know exactly what Kid does by now, right? I've been seeing a lot of him in my tournaments lately. But pretty much what this leader does is he's going to be focused on trashing your life as much as he can. He has multiple different cards that can do so. He has the Basil Hawkins that trashes a life on KO. He has a Nico Robin that trashes life on play. And then he has his 8-drop Yellow Kid that trashes a life. Activate main, or I believe it's on play. Or activate main, I don't know. One of the two. But pretty much this leader is very tough to deal with. You're not going to be getting your life cards added to your hand. You're going to be having to trash them. So to start it off, I go first. I tap 1 for my Luffy. Let's see what I end up grabbing right here. I grab the Eustace Kit. This is going to be an integral piece for my whole strategy right here. Super good card, especially into this matchup. So I believe my opponent taps 1 and plays his own Luffy Searcher. So pretty much my whole game plan playing against this specific leader is to reduce my life down to 0 and to play blockers and eventually my 8-drop Kid. So my theory is I want to take every life hit that my opponent sends me and not like defend my life, because it's gonna get trashed if I don't take it into my hand. So here I tapped 2 for the Bonnie, and I'm gonna search for my Secret Law. So first 2 searches of the game, I got both of my big bodies. Feels great. Let's see what I do here. I attach 1 Dawn to my leader, and then I swing 6k to life. My opponent gives me a 2k, which is really good for us. You know, taking a card out of his hand early always feels nice. So I'll move over to my opponent right here. He is rocking the Kid sleeves, kind of nice. So he swings 2 to Bonnie, I give, and then he swings 5 to life, and I take that. Again, I'm not countering anything out early. Then my opponent plays a Basil Hawkins, and then he flips top life with his leader ability, and then gives Basil Hawkins blocker. So what does this mean? It means that if my opponent chooses, he can use this Basil to block, and then KO one of my, or trash one of my lives. So I swing 2 into the Luffy just to get rid of it. Next I tap 5 for Cavendish, restand 2. Right, give 1 Dawn to my leader, use leader ability to bounce Luffy and blind search my top life. I actually end up getting something good. So I play it and freeze one of my opponent's Dawn. Then I tap the other Dawn for the Luffy that I just grabbed from my board to do another search. 3rd search of the game. Looks like I'm going to get that Bonnie blocker. Super good. And then swing 6 to life once again. Let's see what my opponent decides to do here. Is he going to give me another 2k? Or is he going to try to preserve? Looks like he blocks with his Basil and trashes one of my life. So it always feels horrendous whenever you have to trash one of your life, but playing against this leader, it's something you have to deal with. My game plan was to not trash any of my life, but in some instances you're just not going to have a choice. So now my main objective is to not trash that last life, to either play it or to draw it. So we're going to see how that ends up working here. My opponent plays the Searcher. What does he grab? I didn't even see what he grabbed. Looks like he grabbed the Apu. So my opponent attaches 3 Dawn, it looks like, to his Kid. Looks like he just wants to send a heavy attack to my life. I counter 7. Oh, looks like he sent 7 and 2k, 1k. I counter 8, that's right. And then he just plays the Apu blocker. So he didn't have a super impactful turn, I would say here. Kind of good for us, right? He just pretty much played a blocker, and then he swung heavy with his leader. So back to us, we tap 7 to play this Law. Gonna add that to the top of our life, swing Cavendish, and Cavendish is gonna restand 2 Dawn, right? So just cooking it whenever you have a large amount of Dawn in Yellow-Green Law, like it's about to be fireworks. So my opponent takes that right there. I attach 1 Dawn to my Bonnie and swing 7 to life. My opponent is going to give me that blocker. Looks like he wants to preserve his life as much as he can. Then I'm going to use my leader ability to bounce the Luffy to hand, play the blocker law that I just put on my life. Blocker law is going to activate Shambles. Or I actually choose not. I choose not to use my leader ability or my law ability. And I swing 6. My opponent gives me 1k, 1k, and then I tap the last Dawn just to play that Luffy that I just got. So a lot of moving parts. Whenever you're playing this leader, you kind of have to really know your combos and kind of know what your cards do, what cards work well with others. See right there, like when I played my blocker law, I opted not to use its on play because I didn't want to bounce one of these 5 costs in order to play this Luffy. So I opted to not use it there, and then I just hard played the Luffy with the last Dawn. So little thing right there that you guys can kind of pick up on. You don't have to use your on plays if you don't need to. So my opponent swings 5 right there. I take my life. You know, I have no block. I have 1 blocker up. You know, because I would rather have my life than to have my opponent trash it. I think he tried to be sneaky here and possibly, like, you know, trash my life with his 8-cost kid, but he ends up not doing so. And then he kind of has a weird combo where he plays the 7-drop and then gives the rested Dawn to his leader that's already rested. So I don't think he expected me to just take that life hit. That's why. But in my head, my game plan is to take every single life hit and just rely on my blockers and on my defensive cards to help me win the game. So back to me. We are at a big 9 Dawn. So 9 Dawn, 10 Dawn on Yellow Green Law feels insane. There's so many different things that you can do. You can attach our Dawn and swing super wide, or you know, you can play one big red boss card. So definitely what you guys see right here, you're gonna see me do one play, like one main play, but definitely a different way there's tons of different ways to play this out. But I just started with a quick 9 to life. My opponent's gonna take it, and then let's remember that my opponent has a blocker on the field right now, that 7-cost law. So I attach 1 Dawn to my leader, use leader effect, bounce the Luffy to hand, instead of just hard playing something over it to KO it. I'd rather have it in hand than to KO it. So I tap 8 for Eustace's Kid, and then I'm going to swing 6 to life, restand 2 Dawn. My opponent gives me a 2k. Attach 1 Dawn to Bonnie to bump it up to 7. I'm gonna swing 7 to lead. My opponent blocks. I'm gonna swing 6 to lead. My opponent takes that one. So as you can see, a lot of cuts going on right now. And I activate Kid ability, activate main, rest, and attach 1 Dawn. And then I'm going to play out this TCG off of the Kid. So insane defensive turn, if you ask me, and offensive, because I sent 1, 2, 3, 4, I sent 4 attacks and established a Kid. So if you guys see what I brought out with the Kid, it is none other than the TCG 2K in OP10. This card is super good, especially when you pair it with this 8-cost Kid. So 8-cost Kid is not only protected by my law blocker and the grip of cards I have in my hand, it's also being protected by this TCG. TCG is going to be able to protect this Kid from KO, trash, bottom decking, putting on top of my life, and bouncing to my hand. This TCG protects against all effects that were to remove one of my green characters from the field. Instead, rest TCG. Super good. So pretty much just forces my opponent to have to target this TCG. Otherwise, he can't touch anything on my board. So back to my opponent. He's gonna swing 9k to my Kid. I give a 2k. Let's see. My opponent has a Katakuri in hand, but he can't play it. He can't play it and bottom life my Kid because I have the TCG on board. So this TCG is completely stopping and limiting the amount of things that my opponent can do right here. So my opponent plays another 7-drop law to give 1 rested on to the Kid, and then 2 more to swing 8. I can swing 8 to my Kid. I should have a plethora of defensive tools here, so I'm just trying to see what's worth it. So I give 2k. I guess, yeah. I guess he was swinging 9k. So we successfully, defended this attack right here. My opponent added that on top of his life, flipped it, and then gave his law blocker again. So he's at 4 life right now. We are at 0 life. This is our second turn with 0 life. We're still hanging in there. Not really worried about it too much. I do have the kid and a blocker. So we're about to see how we get this started right here. So I'm gonna swing a quick 6 to life. My opponent is gonna give me a 2K. Okay, so just calculating it out right here. Again, so many different options, so many different possibilities that I could do right now. That's why I love playing this deck. It's honestly one of the most fun decks I've played ever. Up there with RP Law. So I attach 1 down here to leader, and then I swing 6 to life. He gives it to me. All right. Just taking it real slow, real easy, real methodical. I swing 6 to life right here. My opponent takes it. You may think like, dang, like you're swinging with your blocker, like ain't that a little reckless? Like trust the madness. There's always a method to the madness. So I use leader ability to bounce Law back to my hand. Then I tap 5 to hard play that same Law. Law is gonna then bounce the TCG to hand. And then I'm going to play the Jewelry Bonnie blocker onto the field. And then I'm going to swing 6 with Cavendish to restand 2, putting me at 4 active Dawn. So a little switcheroony right there, right? I attacked with two cards, and then I bounced them both back and played 2 cards active. Pretty insane combo right there. So my opponent counters out right there. I still do have a couple of swings that I can do right here. I swing 8, I believe. Yep, I swing 8 because I know my opponent's blocker is at 9k, and I'm anticipating if he blocks with it, that leaves it susceptible to an attack. So just as I predicted, he does choose to block with it. So I'm gonna load up on my Law and just throw everything into his Law. I'm gonna swing 12 to 9, and he's gonna go ahead and give it to me. Attach my last Dawn to Kid, and it activates his ability. So now my opponent can only target this Kid. So, there you have it right there, right? Like super, super good. As you can see, as soon as the Kid hits the field, it is hard to get rid of it. One thing that I did notice on this gameplay, where instead of using that Bonnie and playing the Bonnie off of the Kid, maybe I should have just replayed the TCG. That's one thing that I probably could have done differently. Just because now I'm leaving him open to being able to get hit by Katakuri, which is exactly what happens right here. So he plays the Katakuri, and he puts my Kid on top of my life. So now my opponent has free range to attack into my life right here. So my opponent's gonna swing 9 to my life. I'm gonna take it. I take the Kid, add it back to him. He attaches 2 Dawn onto his Kid and swings 7 to life. I'm gonna block for 6k and go 7 and 8. So block for 8. My opponent is going to activate his ability, flip top life, and restand his Law and give a blocker. So I would consider that a misplay on my part, not putting the Tashigi instead of the Bonnie. So that's definitely something you guys can take away from this and learn. My thought process was keep the 2k in hand, but the 2k is way better on the field. So right here, I just tap 7 for the Hody, and then I'm going to rest 2 cards, and I'm going to swing 9 to life. My opponent is going to take it. Then I'm going to swing 9 to life, restand 2. My opponent takes. Swing 8 to life. My opponent goes 2k, 1k. And then I swing 5 to life. Let's see what my opponent ends up doing here. And that is going to be game right there. So there you have it. Super close game right there, right? Like I was at 0 life for 3 turns. So just to show you that playing Yellow Green Law, yes, a lot of people say that it's tough because you take your own life to use your leader ability. However, like you need to remember that you have a lot of blockers. You have a lot of blockers that could definitely prolong the game and keep you safe. Where you may think you're not safe because you don't have life, but you actually are safe because you have blockers, a lot of counters, a lot of 2Ks in hand, searchable 2Ks, And you also have the ability to heal with your 7-drop Law, and then the ability to play the 8-drop Kid and just be a complete defensive juggernaut. So don't be afraid taking those life hits early. Definitely take the first 2 hits, I would say, against anybody pretty graciously. And then once you get to 2 life, then that's when you start like seeing how worth it is to counter, or to, if you have a lot of blockers that you are seeing in your hands, to be okay with taking those life hits, because you're going to be playing blockers anyways. So, you know, hopefully you guys learned a little bit of something from this match. If you guys like what you saw, please go ahead and like the video, leave me a comment, and of course subscribe to the channel. You know, I hope you guys are enjoying these Law gameplay videos and hopefully learning something. It's a pretty tough leader to learn, but hopefully with videos like these, you guys can you know, learn something and get better in your own games. There you have it. Appreciate you guys for watching. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.